Hi, everybody. Welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. My name is Jared. I got an email from Jake. The subject line says updated missionary numbers as of March 8th, 2024. That caught my interest because that's something that I'm keeping track of. So let me show you really quick. I have this spreadsheet that has all the, going back to 1977, it has the number of missionaries in the church. And we've looked at this spreadsheet a number of times, and there's been some news lately. So we're going to go over that in just a minute. We're going to get caught up and then go over this article. In the email, it says, found this article with updated missionary numbers as of March 8th, 2024. Yeah, so let's look at what's been going on and see what the latest number is. And when I saw this number, I about fell off my chair. I wasn't expecting to see this number this soon. So I'll show you in just a second. Really quick, speaking about missionary work, we have the Flood the Earth Challenge. We're at 8,397 copies of the Book of Mormon that have been shared so far. We have two new reports of people meeting with the missionaries for a total of 145 since we started this challenge in December of 2022. And for the month of March, this makes March the second highest of all time at 13. You have a few other months that are tied for first: April 2023, August, October 2023, and then February. But March comes in at second place. And the month's not over yet, so hopefully that'll go up. So good job, everybody. Remember, the channel goal is to try and share at least 10 copies of the Book of Mormon each. If that happened, this number would go way up, and it would probably take me a long time to update the tracker, but I don't mind. I'm up to the challenge. Okay, so back to this. So we need to go back to November 1st of 2023. You may remember this story. Church to create 36 new missions worldwide, with full-time missionary numbers exceeding 72,000. And that is what we have for 2023, 72,000. I didn't see any other news articles giving an update. So last I heard, it was over 72,000, and that's what we had for 2023. Okay, going back here. So 36 new missions. With its more than 72,000 full-time missionaries exceeding pre-COVID-19 pandemic totals, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints will add 36 new missions worldwide next summer to accommodate the growing numbers. Joining the 414 existing missions across the globe, the addition of the 36 will bring the total to 450 missions, the most ever in church history. 450. And now I have to wonder, with the number that we're about to look at, if they're going to have to add some more missions, because it's a pretty substantial number. Let's go back to the spreadsheet, because it just talked about pre-COVID levels. So in 2019, we were at 67,000 missionaries. And then the highest that the church has ever been, at least up till 2023, was 2014 with 85,147. And that's largely in part because it's because there was the lowering of the mission age under President Monson. So there was a big spike and things started to kind of cool off after that, but it stayed above the numbers from before the lowering of the mission age. Before, it was like in the 50s. After the spike, it basically went back and forth. Well, no, it went from the 70s and then into the 60s, and then during the pandemic, down into the 50s. So that would be levels similar to before the lowering of the mission age. And then it started to come back up. In 2022, we got back into the 60s, almost into the 70s. And then in 2023, 72,000. Okay. Next article. The Church of Jesus Christ will create 36 new missions in 2024. Elder Marcus B. Nash of the 70, who serves as executive director of the missionary department, said he is, quote unquote, thrilled and grateful that so many of the rising generation, there's that key phrase, we'll talk about that in a second, are choosing to serve. Quote, they are stepping forward against countervailing winds and trends of the world. They're stepping forward to serve. President Nelson teaches that they have been held in reserve. I agree. It's a special group. Now, they're not just saying that. I have put together this spreadsheet called Quotes Rising Generation, where I have every single quote that I have come across that talks about a particular generation, especially when they seem to be hinting or just flat out saying that they're going to be the generation that sees the Savior come. So it seems like, well, let's do it like this. So we have the Joseph Smith quote where he said, those of the rising generation would not taste of death until Christ comes. And we've gone through that whole exercise. That's why I have these columns right here. I'm not going to explain that right now, but within the last couple videos, I explained it. So this is the first one. Okay. And then I think it's in 1936. Yeah, 1936. In Doctrines of Salvation, Joseph Fielding Smith believes at the time that he's writing the book that there's going to be those that are alive at his time that would see the second coming. And then things really take off starting in 1966. I haven't found like anything else except for Joseph Smith and Joseph Fielding Smith with their statements. I haven't seen anything else from anybody, not in the Journal of Discourses, not from some quote that somebody's sent me. I haven't found anything. If you have one, send it to me. So as far as I can tell, this talk about the rising generation didn't really take off until the 60s. And at that time, the youth of the church were the baby boomers. So in column D, I know it's really small, but this isn't really the focus of the video. I just kind of want to give you an overview. So column D, it represents the generation, in this case, the baby boomers. I did the calculations. Those that would have been from the ages 12 until 18, like 12 at the beginning, like the very first ones of that generation, and then the very last ones. So the quotes start in the 1960s, and then you can see there's just more and more and more, especially with Generation X. And then you get the millennials, and you have more. And then you get to Generation Z, and they probably have the most. In fact, I'm thinking about maybe doing this video again, going over these quotes. Let me know if you'd like to see that video. I've had a lot of people join the channel over the last little while. The channel is growing pretty quick, and it leads me to wonder, like, how far is this going to like grow? I don't know, but occasionally I think I need to go back and review some things. And so I'll probably be doing a video where we go over these quotes, and it is astounding what has been said. Again, if you have any quotes that's not on here, send it to me, but we'll do that video pretty soon. Okay, so the rising generation, that's what all these quotes are about, the rising generation. And President Nelson in particular, right here in column G, you see right here, President Nelson, President Nelson, President Nelson, like he really talks about the rising generation. He's the one that introduced this concept of the Lord's Youth Battalion in the Hope of Israel Worldwide Youth Devotional in 2018, which was his first year as president of the church. And that's not a concept that's gone away. It's like a real thing. Okay. So, and I tend to think, like I've said, because there's a quote on here where he talks about, wait, is it on this one? I can't remember if I have it on this one too. It's definitely on one of my other spreadsheets where he talks about the fact that we're in the last half of the ninth inning. So it's the very end of the game. It's when the last team is up to bat. And I think the last team that's up to bat is this, the Lord's Youth Battalion. And I actually have a spreadsheet. Let's go over here. Let's use this one. Okay, it's right here, Youth Battalion. I should probably rename this to Prophets, President Nelson Youth Battalion. And this is just a simple table showing the age groups that were present when President Nelson gave that devotional, where he first talked about the Lord's Youth Battalion. So essentially, those that were 18 at the time, they started their missions in 2018, 2019. The 17-year-olds, they started in 2019, the 16-year-olds, 2020, and so forth. And right now we have that last group, the 12-year-olds at that time, that are starting to go on their missions. And I'm sure that, it would encompass just the youth after that as well. But this is like who he was speaking to during the worldwide youth devotional called Hope of Israel. Okay. So I think that this is that group. I think that this is the last team up to bat before the second coming. And they're probably going to be the ones that lead the way into the millennium when missionary work continues, because it is going to continue and it's actually going to increase at the beginning of the millennium. I think that these are probably those people, especially those leaving right now. I could be wrong, but we'll see. President Nelson makes a big deal about them. So, okay, next, let's see, what do we got? The number of Latter-day Saint missionaries is rising rapidly. This is from June 28th of last year. Okay. The number of missionaries serving has increased steadily since church president Russell M. Nelson asked young people to go on missions at the April General Conference in 2022. You may remember that conference, especially the Saturday morning session. There were so many speakers that talked about missionary work and going on missions. I was paying close attention, right? Because by this point I already had my channel up, and I usually do live streams after each general conference session. And so we were really excited for that conference, just like every conference. And afterwards, that's what we ended up talking about after that session. And also the Saturday afternoon, just all the talk about missionary work. That was like the focus on Saturday, not so much on Sunday, but on Saturday. But with President Nelson himself asking for the youth to prepare to go on a mission. Okay, continuing from 56,000 at the end of 2021 to 68,000 by June 14th of this year. Quote, and we really do feel like we'll exceed 72,000 by the end of the year, Elder Cook said. The influx of missionary applications led to a need for more members of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles to make mission assignments. Typically, 2 apostles assign mission calls weekly, but in recent months, as many as 4 apostles have been making up to 300 calls a week, Elder Cook said. Much of this runs counter to the popular narrative that young people are less religious today, yet new data tracking attitudes across generations shows an uptick in religiosity among the religious members of the millennial and Gen Z generations compared to baby boomers and Gen X. So that's interesting. Another indication that this probably is that group, the group that's going to lead the way. Okay. The phenomenon church leaders are seeing among young people who are signing up to go on missions is that they are responding in higher numbers and higher percentages than previous generations, Elder Cook said. Elder Marcus B. Nash, a General Authority 70 and the executive director of the church's missionary department, said at the Missionary Training Center, quote, there's just something going on, and I don't know how to explain it other than the prophets spoke in April 2022, and this rising generation that he teaches us was held in reserve are responding. This new manual, Preach My Gospel 2nd edition, is attuned to this generation, and it will help them rise to the great and noble call. So this is just really exciting talk. Then we got this one. Okay, this is the one. This is the one that Jake sent. This is the update. Okay. Why are people joining or coming back to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints? And the location here is Melbourne, Australia. If you look at the URL up here, it says News Pacific. So this isn't even for the whole church. Okay, so look, It's always interesting when a person or family converts from one religion to another, or from having no religion to a life of faith. With over 90,000 missionaries, 90,000. You heard that right. 90, look at the screen. 90,000. So we're gonna add this number onto my spreadsheet. With over 90,000 missionaries serving worldwide in more than 31,000 congregations, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has a total membership of over 17 million members worldwide. And just in case there's any question, yeah, this was published on the 8th of March, okay, of this year, 2024. And then it goes on and it talks about this. It just like mentions it like it's no big thing. I don't know if this has been said anywhere else. I did a search. And the only thing that I came up with was January 10th, 2018. So President Nelson's, just a few days before he became president of the church, on the 14th of January. LDS church leader wants missionaries to serve successful missions without interruption. And it says, in 2006, there were just over 50,000 missionaries serving in the church. In 2012, when President Thomas S. Monson announced a lowering in the ages for young men and young women to serve missions, a huge surge happened, culminating in a total of almost 90,000 missionaries. So they almost got to that number. Let's go look at the spreadsheet. So the number that I have in 2014, it was 85,000. So saying that it was close to 90,000, that might be a little generous. I don't know. I guess it depends on how you want to look at it. But 85,000. So now, in an article where it's just like, with over 90,000 missionaries serving worldwide, and then going on to talk about this, just like that, we learn that there's over 90,000 missionaries. And that's kind of a big deal, because that blows away the previous record of 85,147. So I'm just going to put this in here. 90,000. So it went from 85, 74, 70, 67, 65. So just like a steady decline. Then it started to come back up in 2019, 67. And then there was the pandemic, 51, 56. And now 68, 72, 90. Holy cow. Holy cow. And this is only the beginning of the year. I mean, I don't know. I'm not in the missionary department, but I would assume it would probably go up, wouldn't it? Don't you think? I mean, I guess it could like plateau or fluctuate. I don't know. But yeah, 90,000. Can you imagine the day, maybe it's going to be this year. Can you imagine the day when there's 100,000 missionaries? Oh my goodness. So things are strengthening right now. When they say like this is a huge influx, how did he say it? Has increased steadily. There was something that he said. They are responding in higher numbers, in higher percentages than previous generations. The phenomenon church leaders are seeing among young people who are signing up to go on missions is that they are responding in higher numbers, in higher percentages than previous generations. I don't know how to explain it other than the prophet spoke in April 2022. And this rising generation that he teaches us was held in reserve are responding. Yeah, they sure are. They sure are. So I think that we have some exciting times ahead, you guys. In recent videos, we've been talking about how it seems like the church expects major growth. And I take that on, that's on good authority. President Nelson, others who've talked about major growth, President Holland, others, I think we're going to be seeing it over these next few years. Whether that's because the second coming happens and we're now in the millennium and that's like a time of intense missionary work and we have a big influx, whether it's because of that or if this is like pre-millennial, I don't know, but I think something's going on. And by the way, a lot of people have had responded. I was like, when I was going over that comment, I can't remember who it was by, but they were saying that those that are putting together the hymn book, they were told that the projection is like 100 million members. And I was like, what would that have to do with the hymn books? Dadoy. It's because they have to figure out how many to print, you know. I don't know how that escaped me. But yeah, because so I don't know, 100 million. I don't know what do you think the ratio is? We've done the ratio of members of the church to temples. What do you think the ratio is of what do you think the ratio is of members of the church to hymn books? I'm thinking about my ward, and I think there's more members than hymn books because people have to share. And that's probably and just looking back on my life, I've never really paid attention to this, but I think there's more members than hymn books. So if they're going to be printing 100 million, I mean, that could be over the course of who knows how long, but anyway, that's a huge number. We're only at about 17 million right now. I guess we'll see what we reached in 2023 in this next conference when they report those numbers. I'm excited for that. But yeah, just big things are happening. I didn't catch there's been like more comments that have come in over the last few videos that people have said some really interesting things. I want to be careful how much I share of that because again, there's always like the telephone game where things are misheard or maybe sometimes things are exaggerated or misunderstood or whatever. So I don't want to spread too much of that. I think it's appropriate to do every now and again, especially like when you have a lot of people repeating the same thing. But you might want to go check out my last few videos and look in the comment sections because there's been some pretty amazing things that have been said there. And I believe that it's true. Okay, well, that's the news, 90,000. So that's going to be it for this one. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.